What's wrong with you? Hey, wait. You don't love God? What's wrong with you? Wait, I said I love God. You don't love God? What's wrong with you? Hey, wait. You don't love God? What's wrong with you? Wait, I said I love God. You don't love God? What's wrong with you? Hey, wait. You don't love God? What's wrong with you? Wait, I said I love God. You don't love God? What's wrong with you? Hey, wait. You don't love God? What's wrong with you? Wait, I said I love God. You don't love God? What's wrong with you? Hey, wait. You don't love God? What's wrong with you? Wait, I said I love God. You don't love God? What's wrong with you? Hey, wait. You don't love God? What's wrong with you? Wait, I said I love God. You don't love God? What's wrong with you? Hey, wait. You don't love God? What's wrong with you? Wait, I said I love God. You don't love God? What's wrong with you?
So you're a philosopher?
Yes, yes, yes.
Good evening, good morning, good night, good day. It's your boy Retro. Thank you for pressing play.
Come on, somebody lift up a shout to the Lord.
So you're a philosopher?
Yes, 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 yes. I think very deeply.
I need just a little more Jesus.
Sheldon, Sheldon, start up the mic then. We start up the mic them now. Sheldon, start up the mic then. We are gonna crank up the mic them now.
So you're
Yes,
a
indeed.
philosopher?
You already know what it is. It's your boy Retro with you on today. This is a day that the Lord has
I think very deeply.
It's the retro philosophy.
made.
And tell everybody you know.
Let's see here.
It's your girl Lottie Dottie, and I'm in the building hanging out with Retro. Keep it locked, and don't you dare touch that dial.
All right, everybody.
Say, man, you know what it is, man. Special guest in the building. Much love and respect to my man Retro stopping through, y'all. Y'all know what to do.
Big Cell.
Yes, indeed. You already know
You
what it is,
still
folks. It's your boy
keeping
Retro
it
with you on today.
100.
And, I'm grateful to be here. Another day in the land of the living. You know, God is good. God is great. Won't he? Didn't he? And I don't know. You know, all of your little church cliches, and then some. Don't mount up to the goodness and the true grace and mercy and love of the Father. He can. Somebody said if I had 1,000 tongues, I wouldn't be able to praise you the way I ought to praise you. But with the one that I do have, I'm going to use it and give you the praise, the glory, and the honor. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that is why I give him the praise like I do. I don't mean to be, invasive as it relates to your space and but for me, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Now, such a statement does not declare perfection. As a matter of fact, I'm on the potter's wheel every single day, every second, every minute, every hour, every day, every week, every month, every year. Come on, somebody. He's molding me and he's shaping me and he's making me into the man that he's called me to be. And if God called you to be that man or woman that he's called you to be, then by golly, you're going to be it. Yeah, the Bible tells us his word will not return unto him void, but it will accomplish what he sent it out to do. I certainly hope you guys can hear us good, loud and clear. Still working through some things as it relates to the Retro Philosophy Show. I've got a few more pieces of equipment to pick up, and I think that might do it for us. I think that might make everything, bada boom, bada bang type style. But I take it you guys can hear me good. We're just grateful today. I'm hoping that you saw the what do you call it? The title. Today we want to talk about the double-minded. We want to talk about the crisscrosser, and I ain't talking about your dressing. But we want to talk about the backstabber. Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's Thursday, y'all. We want to talk about. We want to talk about all of those things, okay? But don't get it twisted. It's a positive show because that's who it is. That's who we are, and that's what we do. Now, however, even in being a positive individual, sometimes you must deal with negative circumstances. And I think people get it twisted because, they say, well, why he or why she, well, it needs to be. It needs to be said. It needs to be done. It needs to be addressed. And I read a post this morning, and the individual was saying, if I unfriend you, you really ask for it. And it's a shame that people they begin to they try to hold you how do I want to say this? They try to victimize you for having a standard. They try to make you look like the bad guy for what they created. All because you said, "You know what, enough is enough." You gave them time and you gave them space to fix it, to rectify it, to mend it, to do what was necessary. And they continued. I know I ain't gonna get too many amens on this one here, but they continue to trespass against you. They continue to deal with you wrong. They continue to approach you wrong. They continue to cross your borders and your perimeters and they continue to do that. And now that you say, you know what, I got to let the axe fall where it must, then they turn around and they want to victimize you as though you don't have a right to stand up for your rights. Like you don't have a right to stand up for your happiness. So there have been a lot of us who have been betrayed, who have been stabbed in the back, and it wasn't the wound that gets you; it's who you see when you turn around to pull the knife out of your back. David, the psalmist, said, if it would have been an enemy, I would have known how to deal with it. But it was a man, mine own equal, a friend. We had counsel together. We fellowship together. It was he who betrayed me. We made mention of this several days ago because we find out. I want to know when you guys hear the word betrayal, what comes to mind? What comes to mind when you hear the word betrayal? And for some of us, a face comes to mind. For some of us, we remember an individual, and there's a danger in that. There's a safety, but there's also a danger in that. Can we talk about that for a little bit? Let's talk about that for a quick hot second. Now, the safety is you remain vigilant, not to allow them to do what they did to you before again. But if we're not careful, we can also harbor a level of bitterness and unforgiveness. Now, You said, but they stabbed me in the back. They did me wrong. They sabotaged this, that. Yeah, I know. But forgiveness ain't for them. Who am I talking to this morning? Am I which camera? Am I talking to you? Okay. I want you to look into my orbital sockets, and I want you to understand that the forgiveness ain't for them. It's for you, my dear friend. Yeah. So forgive them, but that doesn't mean you have to forget. I had somebody approach me very left fieldish. That means they approached me very wrong, and so they approached me very wrong, and I'm a no nonsense kind of a person. So I felt it was necessary to nip it in the bud, and they took it to another level. And I said, okay, true colors have been shown. I found out that advice to a fool is foolishness. And so I left it where it needed to stay, only to receive a phone call the next day with an apology. And my response was, I accept your apology. You know, the only thing is, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have to forget bad behavior. As a matter of fact, we should mark bad behavior. Yeah. And we should hold people accountable. Now, the thing with forgiveness is simply this. Sometimes it's said with words, but not modeled through actions. And so, my wife would always say, mouth was made to talk. She usually throw her little patois on it when she said, with her sexy self. But I'm sorry, there's a whole this. But anyway, my wife would say, mouth was meant to talk. And so what that means in so many words is, people got a mouth, they can say what they want to say. But what we need to look for and be aware of, because the greatest form of an apology is changed behavior. Can I get a witness in the building on today? You know, we have to be very careful because we cannot deal with people any kind of a way and then just release two words and think it erases everything. I'm sorry. Yeah, you are sorry. You really is. Um, and don't take that the wrong way, but um, we have to be careful because even after a sincere apology with changed behavior to enforce the apology, to solidify the apology, we still have to deal with consequences. Ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts, everybody, including Lottie Dottie, consequences are real. And there are consequences to our actions. So let me if just bear with me for a moment. I want to give you a living example of what I'm sorry looks like and sounds like without changed behavior. Are you ready for it? Are you ready for it? Okay, here is what an apology looks and sounds like without changed behavior. Yeah. That's an apology without changed behavior. That's exactly what it sounds like. And so we have to be very, very careful, ladies and gentlemen, because we want to be taking serious in this thing called life. So don't let your apologies sound like that. Okay. As a matter of fact, I believe that an apology should be seen just as vividly as it is heard. I don't know who I'm talking to, but I hope you're listening. Somebody needs to apologize. I'm just a firm believer because I did not intend to get on here this morning and talk about apologizing or apologies per se. But I did get on here to talk about, the backstab. And the Bible says it this way: a double minded man is unstable in all of his ways. So, what that means, or what I extract from such a statement, is that when you have someone who has stabbed you in the back, now you might not have noticed it until it actually happens. And once it happens, you are now aware and you are now a little bit more vigilant. Backstabbers are very persuasive because normally we don't let anyone behind us unless we think they got our backs. Let me say that one more time. I ain't up here to start no trouble. We're gonna leave that to other folk. I ain't here to start no trouble, but I am here to uncover. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Uh-huh. Cause we too grown. We too grown. We too grown for the foolishness, folks. It's time is winding up. And God is depending on us to make this world a better place. Yeah. And too many of us have circles and friends and acquaintances that will allow us to continue on in our foolishness. Not only do we have friends and acquaintances and folks that surround us that will allow us to continue on in our foolishness, some of them will hype it up. One of the greatest hype men in my time was the one and only Flavor Flav. Huh, he was the hype man of hype men. I don't know if there was a hype man before Flavor Flav, and if it was, I mean to tell you, Flavor Flav was just the GOAT when it comes to a hype man. And some of us walk around here with a bunch of Flavor Flavs around us, just hyping us up to continue on in our foolishness. And then the one who is bringing accountability to the circle, group, organization, et cetera, is the one who is silenced or at least tried to be made silent. He or she is the one that's ostracized, talked about, overlooked, pushed aside. Why? Because they were the ones that brung a voice to the level of accountability that was necessary, not just so that you wouldn't doom yourself, but that you would not doom the whole organization. Let's get back to these backstabbers. I should have let me see if I can get jiggy with it real quick here. My mind sometimes just thinks in a way that but anyway, y'all know where I'm going with this. We're gonna call on some help on this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just set this up real proper uh to make sure that let's see here. Oh yeah, I think we Gucci. I think we Gucci, folks. Should I do it? Should I do it? Okay, I just saw a thumbs up. Y'all go ahead and light up them thumbs up, folks. I'm gonna take that thumbs up as a sign that I should do it. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let's call on some help, and then we'll continue on with the Retro Philosophy Show. What we got here? Yes, sir. What y'all know about that there? So, ladies and gentlemen, we want to talk about backstabbers for a little bit, right? Backstabbers. Come on, OJs. Where y'all at, man? Who's watching with me on this morning? I want to hear from y'all before I go any further. We got a lot of people that hit the speaker button but won't press play. I need you guys to press play and come on in the room. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Yeah, that's what they do. They'll smile in your face. But the reality is, ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts, everybody, including and especially Lottie Dottie, they are backstabbers. Yeah, they're backstabbers. Let me see here. Oh, I was wondering what was going on, man. I hope hopefully you guys was hearing me because I just looked over here. My volume was all the way down. I think the recording volume was good, but my volume in the studio was all the way down. So hopefully I wasn't speaking in vain and all that I was saying. I'll find out a little while later on, I guess. But we've got to be very careful because backstabbers are very persuasive. They're very smooth, and they will trick you. Yeah, come on now. How many of you have been stabbed in the back by somebody you didn't trust? Nah, that's not a backstabber. That's just an enemy that got you. See, when you trust them and you turn around and fight, that's the backstab right there. If you know they don't like you and they're not for you, they did not stab you in the back. They just stabbed you wherever they had an opportunity to stick the shank in. It's a complete different process and experience. Again, David said if it was an enemy, I would have known how to deal with it. I expect to be wounded by my enemies, but it was a friend. mine own equal, he said. And so, ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts, backstabbers are very persuasive. Otherwise, you would have never let them get behind you. The people who are behind, excuse me, are just that. Normally, typically, they're people that you trust, people that you depend on to hold you when you begin to fall, push you when you begin to stop, so on and so forth. And so we have to be very careful. Now, once you've been stabbed in the back and you are now made aware of their dealings or what have you, you begin to look at the situation a little closer. And the closer you look, you realize that this individual had a track record. You just didn't see it. Because backstabbers, that's what they do. They have a track record of sowing discord. They have a track record of always tearing down somebody so that they can seem to be a little bit more, you know. Uh, so, all I'm simply trying to say on this morning is go forward, but be careful. We can't let backstabbers stop us from being great because the reality is it comes with the territory. The devil does not fight anybody who he already has. And so if the devil is fighting you tooth and nail, that's because you do not belong to him. Church is quiet on this morning. Praise the Lord, everybody. Praise the Lord. Hey, look at here, man. It's your boy Retro, man. I'm serious though, man. We have to be careful in this thing called life. Another thing I want to address, because a backstabber can he can play out his plan in many different ways. He does not always have to be the one standing behind you when you pull the dagger out of your back. A lot of times he will set someone else to do it unknowingly. Even the individual that does it doesn't even they're not even aware of how they have been manipulated. You got to be careful for people who will plant seed in the minds and in the hearts of people who just don't know any better. I found out a long time ago, back in the day. This is I bring this up because this is the same era that I learned this lesson, and some of you guys might be able to relate. Anybody ever remember? I can literally remember sitting in class. I was at New North Elementary School. No, excuse me, New North Middle School. Okay. And so I was sitting there, and a letter comes across my desk, and I open it up, and there is a little thing there, and it says, "Do you like me? Check yes, check no. Will you be my friend? Check yes, check no." And remember, y'all remember them little silly notes we used to get back in grade school and stuff like that. Yeah. So it was right around that same era where I learned that when making friends, make them based on my own choices. Let me go a little deeper because some of y'all need to hear this. When you get out of the single digit numbers relating to your age, you ought to be able to decipher, discern, and make a decision on friendships based on your own experience, your own observation, your own, come on now. But for you to be cool with somebody and then be uncool with them only because they became uncool with somebody else is kind of foolish to me. It's kind of foolish to me. So again, backstabbers work in many different ways. They can't get to your back, so they'll get somebody else to turn on you so that they can get to your back. And I know I'm not the only one who have witnessed that because this thing is called life, and we see it. It doesn't matter what part of life you're in or what walk of life, whether it be profession or religious wise. This is prevalent, and the reason why is because whether you in the church, whether you in the club, whether you in the office or wherever you are, you're gonna be standing next to a human, and humans are flawed. We're flawed. We talk about often, the hypocrites in the church. There's hypocrites everywhere you go. The reason why the hypocrites in the church are uh, are so are gaslighted, if you will, so much is because that's the last place the devil wants you to get to. The devil don't want you to get to church. So he will show you all the church hypocrites to turn you off from church, when in all actuality, they are hypocrites. I'm not here to defend them. And not everybody in the church, I'm not saying everybody in the church is a hypocrite, but there, you will find hypocrites in the church. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Without a doubt, you will. But you will also find them in the office. You'll also find them in your motorcycle club. You'll find them everywhere you go, at the family reunion. You'll find them. Okay. Um, but here's the deal. Each and every one of us have been created in the image and in the likeness of God. And you, my dear friend, I was speaking with a brother, and he was sharing with me how he hadn't been to church in a while, and had been quite a while because of some things that had transpired. Um, and those things we never went into detail about. It wasn't necessary. It wasn't even relevant. Some see let me I know I'm kind of getting off track here, but you got to watch out for folk that want all the details, because sometimes they want all the details just so that they can be messy. If you are a real prayer warrior, and if you can really get a prayer through, you don't need all the details, because the Bible tells us we know not what to pray for as we ought, but the Spirit itself maketh intercession for us with moanings and groanings that cannot be uttered. So, in other words, if my brother say, "Yo, Retro, I'm having a bad day, I need prayer," I don't need to say, "Well, who messed with you and what's going on and what did this happen and what, and oh, really, you trying to get all the tea?" Just pray. Just pray. So again, be careful, because a listening ear can also turn to loose lips. I'm just saying, I don't know who needed to hear that, but a listening ear can also turn to loose lips. I can't get no help up in the church on this morning, y'all. Y'all, I should have just stayed in bed, man. I was in bed. Lord knows I did not want to get up. I was just sitting there relaxing. It's cold. I don't know if my wife. I don't know if she turned the heat up last night, or does the house just got fresh insulated overnight or something. But it was just as toasty as can be. I mean, and we don't normally turn the heat up too much in here. We have an older home, and in some of the rooms it's somewhat drafty. But last night it was just so, and then I woke up this morning, and oh my goodness, my bed was just so comfortable, and I didn't want to get up. But I said, let me get up and talk to the folks for a little bit just in case. And so I get up here, and y'all don't even want to say amen. I don't know what to do, man. I'm just saying. But many of us have been stabbed in the back. Now, what do you do when you're stabbed in the back, folks? First and foremost, you must stop the bleeding. hmm you see, many a times it's not the wound itself that kills us, but it's the bleeding that does. Back home, there were some brothers who had gotten to a fight at the club. It was, I think it was Sass. It was corner of Hancock and Rifle Street, I believe. And this is back in the day. They got into a fight, and somebody pulled out a knife. Uh, and he went to stab the guy he was fighting, and missed the guy he wanted to stab, and stabbed his brother. And his brother, out of, surprise and adrenaline, he jumps up and he begins to run. And the first thing he thinks about is just going home. So he runs home. And of course, the more he's running and the more he's excited, the more his blood is pumping and flowing. And so he bled out and he died. Had he just stopped and applied pressure, he may still be with us today, but because he jumped up and began to run without attempting to stop the bleeding, he died. So when you are stabbed in the back, ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts, everybody, including Lottie Dottie, the first thing we must do is stop the bleeding. Because the reality is, the stab itself, many a times, ain't enough to kill you. But when your mind begins to race about how much you loved them and they still stabbed you, how much you did for them and they still betrayed you, how much you protected them and they still, come on, and we begin to, and our blood begins to boil, and we find ourselves bleeding out. It is extremely dangerous to lead while bleeding. We have a lot of leaders that are leading while bleeding. And as a result, the people that they lead become infected. The quickest way to become infected is to share bodily fluids. Y'all ain't hearing the preacher up in here today. I'm in true preacher form today. I came to preach to somebody. So, ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts, when we are stabbed in the back, when we are betrayed, the first thing we must do. Good morning, C1s. The first thing we must do is stop the bleeding. Yeah, we've got to stop the bleeding. Um, right now, I'm not even concerned so much as to who did this and why. But first and foremost, I've got to stop the bleeding. Yeah. And so again, it is not the wound itself that gets us. It's the fact that we didn't stop the bleeding and we bled out. Let's talk about another way that we die. And I'm not talking about necessarily physically, but even that still applies. Another way we end up becoming doomed because of the two-faced, backstabbing, low down, no good, sleazy, slimy individual that stabs you in your back. Again, the wound didn't kill you. You stopped the bleeding, so it's no longer bleeding, so you're not going to bleed out. But you failed to cleanse the wound. I've been hurt by people in life, and I will be hurt by people in life as long as I'm in life. More than likely, I'll have to deal with it. At best, what I try to do is I try to minimize exposure to such people that would do such things. I've been hurt by a lot of people, and I found out in life. Hear me closely, church, because I cried many a nights to get to this place of understanding. I found out that the best way to heal is to acquire understanding. Mhm. You cannot adequately heal when you are void of understanding. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that understanding equates to answers because there are some folk that will never give you the answers that you need as to why they did what they did. But that in and of itself also brings you to a point and place of understanding. You got to understand that some people are just grimy. Once you understand it, that means you accept it and you stand under it. I mean, I accept the fact, I understand that so and so is just grimy. It's not something that I did wrong. It's not like I wasn't a good enough friend because sometimes we hold ourselves accountable for their griminess, and we say, well, if I'd have loaned him that $50, he'd have remained loyal. If I'd have went with him to his bar mitzvah, he would have never turned on me. If I'd have no 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 stop that. Mm-mm. It ain't your fault. Here you are. You the one that's stabbed in the back, and you still gonna turn around and let them cause you to victimize yourself? That's like so narcissistic. I mean, it's okay. So I had to get to a point in place where I understood that it was what it was. I had to understand that, in some situations, no one is to blame. I was a part of a church years ago, church out of Huntersville. Well, actually, Cornelius later moved to Huntersville. And young pastor, young church, had a little fire on him, and so we began to go there, me and my family. And after about 3 years, well, we were there for 3 years. And anyway, long story short, it just ended really, really sad. And at first I thought it might have just been me, but even after we ended up moving on, the pattern continued. So usually for me, when a pattern continues, it's usually not the people who go through the process or through the pattern, it's the one who perpetuates the pattern. So in other words, it ain't you, it's them. Isn't it funny how people come to you and they always say, oh, so and so, I couldn't deal with them and so and so, and they horrible people. And then they say the same thing about this one, that one. They say that about everybody. So sometimes it's not the folk that they talking about, but it's them, the one that's doing. Oh, okay, all right, all right. And so anyway, I never forget. I was sitting there and I was talking to the pastor, um, and I was trying to be as polite and as docile as possible so that he wouldn't take it as confrontation. I'm so sick of leaders that take everything as a confrontation. Can we not sit down like two men of God and just, have a conversation, have a discussion for the sake of enlightenment, for the sake of learning, for the sake of, you know, but no, some leaders, everything you say is a confrontation. Let me say this and I'll move on. If your leadership can't be questioned, then your leadership is questionable. Anybody that you are leading should have the right to come to you and question you about something that they feel is questionable. Now, again, I do agree we must be respectful, and questioning you and challenging you are not the same thing. I got to ask some questions so that I can have a clear understanding so that I can literally effectively do what I'm required to do or expected to do. How can you expect me to do what you expect me to do when I don't even understand the assignment? And so when it was all said and done, I realized that it wasn't going anywhere. And I simply said it to him the same way God said it to me as we were speaking. And God said to me, this is a two-way test. You pass your part and don't worry about whether or not he passes his part. And so I remained respectful, I remained calm, and I just left it at that, you know? And so we have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that, sometimes it's neither your fault nor their fault. It's just a test. And it only just happens to be that both of you guys are being tested at the same time with the same material, with the same situation. So you can pass your test on the same situation and material. Meanwhile, they can fail theirs because they reacted versus responding. There's a difference. There's a difference. There was a scripture in the Bible. There's a scripture in the Bible, and it's in the New Testament gospel, where a man had been born blind. And so the disciples, they come to Jesus and they're asking Jesus, they said, why is it that this man was born blind? Was it his parents that sinned, or was it he that sinned? Let me tell you this. A lot of things we ask God sounds like this. I mean, really, that doesn't make sense. Okay, I get the first part. All right, they asked Jesus. They said, "Was it the parents that sinned, or was it he that sinned?" Get this now. That caused him to be born blind. How can the man sin before he's born? Yeah, oh my goodness. Oh, okay. Let me stick to the script. So Jesus responds, and he tells them neither the parents' sin has caused this, nor his sin has caused this, because but he said it's for my glory. So I say that to say this: some of us are dying because we have not yet cleansed the wound that was a result of a severe testing. Okay. And we're too worried about who's at fault. Good morning. Hey, good morning, Maxwell. How you doing, sir? Maxwell is in the building. Good morning to you and yours, sir. Um, so we have to get to a point where we realize it's not about blaming and finding fault. When you understand that, and granted, I got a few faces that's flying to my mind right now who have stabbed me in the back, and here comes a few more flying through. Um, but you know what? At the end of the day, man, when I look back, I can truly say that it worked together for my good. It worked for my good. And so I don't even blame them anymore. Because again, grimy people do grimy things. You just got to expect the griminess from grimy people. You know, but we're sitting here and we're telling the Lord, so and so should have never done what they did to me, and that's true, and God knows that. But now what's happening is you are stuck on the fact that you were done wrong, and therefore you can't move forward. And that, my dear brother and sister, allows the infection to fester and to permeate and to ultimately cause you possible death. And the thing is, um, different infections cause different results. So, we just have to make sure we stop the bleeding. Now, I get it. The bleeding, the process of bleeding in and of itself is a part of cleansing for the wound. Okay, when we have an open wound and we bleed, it in and of excuse me, it in and of itself, partially or in some shape, form, or fashion, cleanses the wound. So, but you got to go a step further. Yeah, you got to go a step further. So let me see if I can add this to the mix. We go to people to help us with our healing process, but they can't do everything for us. Yeah, a large part of healing is mental. A large part of healing is a large part of everything we do is mental. Because as a man thinketh, so is he. There are people who have literally died of a broken heart. And you think dying of a broken heart only happens if you are attached with your soulmate, and you've been together forever, and then one passes away, and then the other one eventually passes away and they died of a broken heart. No, that's not the only way, my dear brothers and sisters. Dying of a broken heart can also be because you were let down by an individual whom you trusted or who you expected more out of. And that's one of the problems right there. The reason why we are hurt as deeply as we are hurt sometimes is our own fault. See, y'all don't want to talk to me now. Where y'all at? Let me say it one more time. The reason why some of us are hurt so bad the way we were hurt was our own fault because we put too much trust. I really don't want to use trust. That's not really. I don't think I want to use that. But we certainly put too much expectation. Uh, yeah, on people. We put expectation on certain people that they have not even yet earned. And then when they turn around and misuse your trust, misuse your, it hurts. And I'll speak for me because I can't speak for you. And since y'all ain't saying nothing, I ain't even gonna try. But in situations like that, for me, because trust me, I've been hurt a few times. Usually, people with good hearts end up getting hurt, But it's okay because we get back up. We dust ourselves off and we keep on going, and we ain't afraid to do it again. The same way the same way they hurt me, someone else will get the same chance. I'm just saying, because I refuse to let I'm gonna be good because somebody might screenshot this, but I refuse to let an individual cause me to no longer want to love. Mm-mm. No, sir. No, sir. See, love is the ultimate thing. And I will not let your hate cause my love to cease. The devil is a bold face all the way lie. Come on, somebody. Somebody type in love in the comment. Just type in the four letter LOVE. Just type that in the comment section for me if you would, please. Especially in the church for young men who look to others as role models. That part right there. And I'm gonna tell you the God's honest truth. The biggest hurt I've received was in the church. Maybe it's because when I was in the world, I always kept an eye on folk because I know we all out here and there's no honor among thieves. So, I'm watching Ray Ray because I know how Ray Ray can be. But when you get into church, you let your guard down because, hey, we in the church. We all say we all love the Lord. hmm Until they don't. So yes, my biggest hurt was in the church. And when folks talk about church hurt, it's a real deal thing. It's a real situation. It's a real situation. So where does faith come in that case to press forward? If you could elaborate, Brother Hardy, Terry, if you could elaborate just a little bit, where does faith come in that case to press forward? Faith, as we often hear the generic definition or well, anyway, we usually say we walk by faith and not by sight. And so faith plays a major role in the situation of moving forward after being hurt. Okay. Now, my faith is not in people. My faith is in God. The closest my faith gets to being in people is the God in them. So, but my faith is not in people. So when people do me wrong, it doesn't hurt or harm my faith. It may hurt and harm my feelings, but my faith is not supposed to be attached to my feelings. Faith causes you to do things even when you don't feel like doing it. Faith causes you to do things even when you don't feel it's going to happen, but by faith. Abraham knew, his woman couldn't produce nothing, but by faith, when God said, I'm going to make you the father of many nations, by faith, Abraham believed God. He said, leave from your country and from your kindred. And by faith, Abraham left, knowing that his woman couldn't produce chick nor child. And so faith, ladies and gentlemen, is not connected to people, but oftentimes the enemy will use people to come for your faith. Okay, let's see what Brother Terry says. He says, you have to make yourself vulnerable to manifest God's ability to make things happen. That's what, okay, yes, 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 yes. So when you allow yourself, and that's really good, Terry, when we, I'm not going to say you, but when we, because this is a place that we should all get to at some point or another. See, you thought your trials and tribulations was just to show you that Ray Ray was a sleazeball. No, I mean, that's a byproduct. But your trials and tribulations is really to show you where God's going to cause you to grow and increase. And if you let God grow and increase you, as he said to Peter, when you are converted, strengthen your brother. So now what you going to do after God strengthens you, after Ray Ray sliced you in your back, and then tells you to go back to Ray Ray and minister to Ray Ray. That's where the faith comes in play. So we have to make ourselves vulnerable to manifest God's ability to make things happen. I think that's beautifully stated. I think it's accurate, and I think it's spot on. CC Winans sang a song, and she's one of my favorite gospel singers. CC Winans, not just her music, but her stance. What she, and I don't know her personally, but she certainly portrays a beautiful individual. Inside and out. But anyway, she sings a song, and I don't remember what's the name of the song, but there's a part of the lyrics where it says, "He's too strong to be weak," and that is what I'm talking about. Now, yesterday was Wednesday, and we on Wednesdays, at least once a month, we may bump that up, but for now, once a month on Wednesdays, we will be showcasing an individual as we deem bikers beyond the bike. People, because we've got to get away from this bike life being the only thing that we can offer to the world and to those we love. And so we are showcasing and highlighting different individuals who are biking beyond the bike. And so yesterday we highlighted or showcased a young man by the name of Ricky Henry, aka GQ. He's got over 5 million views on YouTube. The Lord is blessing him. He's extremely talented. He's an artist, a musician, and so much more beyond just a motorcycle. But the reason why I locked in on this brother was because after watching his videos and hearing his narration, it was something about him, number one. But I came across one video. He was on his way to Canada, and he had a moment. He had a human moment, folks. He was sitting down in the restaurant, and he could not hold back the tears. And he was thanking, I want to say it was his grandmother, for what she had done raising him, and he didn't get to really tell her thank you like he really would have wanted to. So he takes her with him everywhere he go. Why do I bring this up? I bring this up because sometimes we are too strong to be weak, and sometimes in our weakest moment is where we experience the strength, the power, and the might of God, and that can equate to his glory. Come on, somebody. He said, in your weakness, his strength is made perfect in our weakness. And so back to what Brother Hardy says, you must, he said you have to, but I want to make it a little bit stronger. You must allow yourself to be vulnerable so that God's ability could be manifested in your life and in your situation. Don't be so strong that you can't be weak. And the reason why most of us are too strong to be weak is because we're scared. An individual who is in tune with his or her feelings is an individual that ain't scared. I'll drop a tear in a heartbeat if I got to. If that's how I'm feeling, I'll drop a tear. And I don't care what you think or say about me. Because being vulnerable is not the worst thing that can happen. Yeah, yeah. Being vulnerable is a point of growth. I saw the other day a crab, and this crab was shedding its shell. And you've got to realize, and there are those Al Qaeda, I think they call it, bugs or whatever they call those things that make all that noise at night. I saw one of those on my building the other day. This was back in the summer. And so I captured it. But it was in the process of coming out of its shell, and I'd never seen it. I knew that it happened, and we usually see the little shells left behind, but I never seen the actual transformation. And it was very interesting to see because it starts out as this little ugly bug with these big old eyes, but when it goes through the process, it gets wings that allows it to fly now. And so, what's my point? My point is sometimes at our most vulnerable state is the point where we grow into something bigger and better. Who am I talking to on this morning? It's your boy Retro with you on this morning. Terry says, bingo, that's it. So, do we even focus on the fact that we were stabbed in the back? Well, it's hard not to realize it. So, I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke where smoke ain't supposed to go. You know, we got to see it for what it is, and but I don't know if you guys were taking note. So I'm gonna go back over a few things as I get ready to get out of your way. When you are stabbed in the back, one of the first things you need to do, even before you find out who did it, because you look kind of dumb running around talking about who stabbed me in the back. You still got this blade in your back. You get the blade out. Stop the bleeding. That's the first thing you want to do. Stop the bleeding. Okay? Because again, the wound itself ain't what's gonna kill you. Yeah, the wound itself is not what's going to kill you most of the time. Because the psalmist said it this way, and I have no choice but to reference scripture. Okay. The psalmist said, "It is good for me that I was afflicted." Now, let me tell you what's so interesting about that scripture. He said, "It is," which means currently. Okay. So today is good for me that I was, which was past tense, afflicted. So something happened in the past, but in the present, it's doing just that. It's being a present. Yeah, it's a gift in the present. Y'all missed that. Y'all missed that. What I'm saying is we will make it through. We will make it through the betrayal. It ain't the first time, more than likely. And more than likely it won't be your last time. So we've got to arm ourselves with the understanding that in this thing called life, this kind of stuff is going to happen. Otherwise, you are in for a rude awakening. I quote this scripture quite a bit. He says, "Think it not strange concerning the fiery trials that have come to try you, as though some strange thing has happened unto you." If you wasn't a person of means, if you wasn't a person of power, if you wasn't a person of influence, the devil wouldn't mess with you. But because you are all of those things I forestated and even more, you've got to understand and know that he's coming for you. But arm yourselves. Arm yourselves with the understanding, arm yourselves with the knowledge, and arm yourself with the wisdom necessary to conquer the enemy. He said, "I would not have you ignorant of Satan's devices." When it almost slipped out. And when Negroes show, when folks show you their true colors, boy, you better believe them. Oh, yeah, I accept your apology, but that was for me. Because if I don't accept your apology, or if I don't make the apology, come on, somebody. then what I'm doing is I got the blade out and I stopped the bleeding, but I haven't cleansed the wound. And when you don't cleanse a wound, it can become infected. And then you can mess around and become toxic. Yeah. hmm and have you ever heard somebody, or if you know somebody that when it comes to certain situations, they just lose it, and they're very toxic surrounding it, you know, and everyone who looks like, they just lose it. That's because they were wounded at some point in their life and they haven't cleansed that wound. And now they have become toxic. It's now flowing through their whole system. I've had situations where, and I thank God for my wife. She's a beautiful individual inside and out. I love her dearly. Uh, my prayer is that the Lord will bless me to love her the way she should be loved. Um, but my wife ain't no joke, and there have been times she was like, babe, you got to get that out of your system. Because in conversation, I end up right back to a situation that hurt me or that harmed me or whatever, whatever. I thought I was healed. I thought I was beyond it. I thought I was over it. And I was, but apparently some of it was still there. And so when you have people, let's later for people, when you find yourself going back to the same conversation over and over and over and over again, it's because you have a wound that you have not properly cleansed. And you might be toxic, and now it's flowing through your system. I was in an accident. This was many years ago, and glass shattered, and it was all in my skin and stuff like that. And so I healed up, and I'm doing fine, and almost forgot about the whole ordeal, right? And then all of a sudden that area began to irritate me, and it blew my mind. It blew my mind because I'm there and I'm feeling something there, and I just thought it was scar tissue or something, and no, it wasn't scar. And this was probably, a year later, or a couple years. I don't know. I know it was an extensive amount of time had passed, and all of a sudden, out of my skin comes a piece of glass. Over time, it worked its way back to the surface and it came out. And that's how some of us are. It's healed over, but it's still not cleansed. And that could be, yeah, that's weird to say the least. So we walk around here, we're no longer bleeding, the skin is healed, but what's under there? What did the skin heal over? Unfortunately, a lot of times we see a great relationship ruined because of a past relationship that we have not been healed over. That's why you ought to set yourself down and wait until you're healed before you go jump in another relationship. I'm just saying. Then you get in the new relationship and you expect the same bozo to show up in your Boaz, and now Boaz has to pay for bozo, and all Boaz wants to do is just be your knight in shining armor. But because you haven't healed from the bozo, you know, uh, Boaz has to suffer, and that's not fair to Boaz. So what we need to do is many a times we need to just sit down and heal. Go on you a 7-day cruise by yourself and just have you some me time and just just all right, guys. I didn't mean to jump into no relationship advice mode or anything like that, but I am dead serious about the fact that we have to be careful how we heal. Some of us heal under the um, how do I want to say this? We heal under the advice of the wrong people. We heal under the protection of the wrong people. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. And someone who has been hurt in a particular way could be weaponized if they're not careful. And you have to be careful because some people will strategically and intentionally weaponize your experience instead of helping you adequately heal. That's too deep for most of y'all. Y'all don't want to acknowledge that reality right there. So I'm grateful. I've been stabbed in the back, as I said, and it might, and it may happen again. At best, I'll do my best to just try to minimize, giving an individual that opportunity. However, if I am stabbed in the back again in life, I know how to get through it. We cannot allow bozos to stop us from loving. There are some of you right now who have stopped riding your motorcycle the way you used to ride your motorcycle because of certain people. You just rather just stay home, not even, and no, sir, no, ma'am. Don't let nobody, I believe it was the Apostle Paul said, oh, y'all, watch out now. Somebody real pretty just jumped on the live and said, talk on it now. That's my baby girl right there. Make some noise for Tatiana Chanel in the building. Hey, what's going on, Taj? What you get into today? Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. I love my kids, man. They are so beautiful inside and out, man. If I'd have known they was gonna come out as good as they did, I'd have had about 3, 4, 5 more of them jokers, man. I'm just gonna tell you the truth, man. We stopped at 2, and because somebody told me 2 was better than too many. But I am so proud of my children, man. And now they grown, and we started early. We had my son, my wife and I are only but we only a month apart, a month and some change. Yeah, a month and some change apart. So we were 20. We were 20 when we had our first kid, and then we were about 24, something like that, when we had my daughter Tajana, who's watching with us on this morning. Not too much, but you talking that truth, pops. Thank you, baby girl. Thank you, thank you. All right, now my girl right there, she got my back, y'all. So I got the amen that I need. Hey, Shaquilla Bussey's in the building. It ain't even stab that hurts. It's the person holding the knife. And that's what we said earlier, sis. You are spot on, absolutely. It's the person holding the daggone knife that hurts. You didn't even, I mean, come on, man. I mean, whew. Because the thing about it is, most of the time, you would have given them everything they wanted. There was, and it hurts because there was really no need for them to stab you in the back. But they do. But they do. But they do. Um, I'm gonna tap you on your shoulder and wait for you to turn around, and then I'm gonna hit you in the face. Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do. And I remember I tried to sucker punch this dude. I was in junior high school, Duggan Junior High School, and I was mad at this kid, man. And I when I saw him, my blood just began to boil, man. And the bell had just rang, and I came running up, man. And I was about to hit that dude, and he turns like that, and I hit him in the back of his head and broke my finger. Yeah, broke my hand, y'all. Broke my finger. And so now the next day I come to school in a cast, and everybody said he beat me up because I had a cast on. So from that point, I said I would never try to hit somebody from behind. See, you got to learn from your lessons. And Lord knows I learned from that lesson. Never again in my life did I ever try to hit somebody from behind. That dude, he must have turned and saw me or whatever, and then he just kind of turned and cowered and gave me the back of his head. And the doctor, I never forget, the doctor said, "Do you not know that the back of the head is the hardest part of the head?" Something like that. He said, and sure enough, man. And to this day, my hand is still, I can't really ball a really good fist because of that, because I broke that knuckle. And so I say that to say this. I'm not gonna try to stab nobody in the back. Come on now. Before I do that, I'll tap you on the shoulder, wait for you to turn around, and then I'm gonna confront you about what I got an issue about, because the issue I got with you might not even be an issue. See, we gotta get understanding. The Bible says, "With all thine getting, get understanding." You getting mad and ain't getting no understanding. Where they do that at? Where they do that at? So, but I'm so grateful for the lessons of life. And we can't do you got on a look ahead now, girl. You better leave my toboggan alone now. It's 29 degrees up in here in this here North Carolinas, okay? And got me feeling like I'm back up north somewhere. But this is a special toboggan, all right? Oh, I used to hate when my mama go in there and put a toboggan on your head. It's cold out there. I'm like, oh Lord Jesus, not the toboggan, ma. Yeah, the toboggan. But this is a special one. Y'all can't see it. Let me turn this one around here, man. Look at that right there. Y'all see that right there? Y'all see that right there? Yeah. Oh, I got a Bluetooth toboggan on, sis. Okay, so this is a high sedity toboggan. All right. Yeah, this is a Bluetooth toboggan, so that way I can listen to my music and everything. Just right there, just hit that little button right there, bada boom, and then it syncs up to my phone, and I'm Gucci, man. So yeah, I got on a toboggan, but it's a special kind of toboggan. All right. Let's see. What about people that throw? Let the church say yes. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Don't sing, Retro. You're gonna run everybody off. That's a whole nother show. But I got a few minutes. Lord knows, I'll tell you. There are a lot of people, and that's what my mama used to say. They throw they. She said people that live in a glass house shouldn't throw rocks and hide their hands. Come on, mama. My mama's something else. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They do it all the time. They do it all the time. I think we'll save that one for tomorrow. Anybody want to know about the folks that throw rocks and hide their hands? Because I'm already over my time. I need for you to join in on tomorrow, and we're gonna talk about them folks that see, because when they take off their gloves, their hands is dirty. hmm you ever shake somebody's hand and their hand was cold? They say cold hand means a warm heart. Some of these folks, they got fire hands. Yeah, their hands is on fire and their hearts is cold as ice. Yeah, yeah. And I did kind of mention that, Shaquila, earlier in the show, as it relates to backstabbers. Hold on one second, y'all. Smile in your face, but all along they want to take your place. Hmm. But a backstabber is a very smooth individual, and a lot of times they will use other people to do their agenda, to fulfill their agenda. And that is what we see right here. They throw their rocks and they hide their hands. They will boost others to do what they are either scared to do or are too much of a coward to do. But then here's the other aspect, because not every backstabber is dumb. You got some slick backstabbers out there. They will get somebody else to bid their war, because depending on how the war plays out will determine which side of the fence they're going to try to position themselves. See, some people ain't messing with you because they don't know if you're going to make it or if you're going to fail. So they want to stay neutral. Yeah, they got a few sickums. Sickums is like, remember we was kids, we got dogs, sick'em. Yeah. So they got a few idiots that they will use to sick on people. That's them throwing their rock and hiding their hand. So that way it don't come back on them per se. But listen here, God is the silent listener in every conversation. I promise you, we're in the season of the exposure. God is going to uncover a lot of this manipulative behavior that's happening. I promise you he will. I promise you he will. And so we'll talk about throwing of rocks and hiding of hands on tomorrow's show. How about that, folks? And I know we've all have you ever have you ever been hit with something and didn't know who did it or where it came from? Oh, that's happened to me, man. It's happened to me, man. I'm in a crowd and something hit you and you turn around. It's not a good feeling because you don't know. You trying to figure out who did it, who hit you. Oh, I'm gonna get out of here, man. I'm gonna get on up out of here, and I got a few things I got to do. But tomorrow's show, we'll talk about this right here: throwing your rocks and hiding your hands. Careful now, cause you in a glass house. You in a glass house. All right, so I want to leave you with a few things. Number one, this is something that I said in the beginning, and most of you guys may have tuned in a little later. So I'm gonna repeat it for you. Okay, an apology is useless without changed behavior. Okay, and so an apology without changed behavior sounds just like this right here. Yeah, that's an apology. without changed behavior. Now, all of us have done something wrong and we have apologized, and hopefully we have changed our behavior to solidify or to confirm that our apology was sincere and real. And so if that's you, congratulations. Because nobody's perfect. We will fail. We will mess up. We will falter along the way. But when we do, just get up and keep it moving. I got one more for you, folks. Listen good, okay? I don't have a graphic for this when I do, but I'm not going to share the graphic. But here's what I want you to understand, okay? Because now I've often said, haters are my motivation. But even in that, the Lord gave me greater insight pertaining to that philosophy. That philosophy was flawed to an extent. That philosophy was based on a level of hurt. Y'all ain't hear me. I can be transparent. When your haters do things to you, it hurts because you trusted them, you believed in them, and then they turn their backs on you, and so on and so forth. And so I said, well, you know what? I'm gonna use that as motivation. I'm gonna put that in my tank, and that's gonna be fuel for me. And no. If you're fueled by your haters, then what are you being fueled by? Hateration. So you ain't no better. I mean, I'm just saying. So the Lord began to show me, he said, haters are confused admirers. So that shifted the way I saw things and more importantly, the way how I handled things. I feel sorry for those that are hating on me. Now, don't get it twisted. There are folks that are still hating, even on the preacher. Yeah, some of them are other preachers and some of them are just other sinners and some of them are just, whoever it is, some of them are just, hold on now. Come on now. You got to work with me here, iPad. But nevertheless, I feel sorry for them, and I pray for them. They're praying on me, but I'm praying for them. Y'all missed that. Somebody will get that later on. So here's what I do. I do my best to be an example in front of them. Come on, somebody. And hey, what's going on, K Logic? That is the wife of Mr. C1's in the building. How you doing, young lady? Thank you for joining the broadcast on this morning. And so I pray for them because they need it. They really do need it. This advice comes from the First Lady of the United States of America, the previous First Lady of the United States of America, the one and only Michelle Obama. And this is what she has to share about haters. Okay, so listen to this and let me know what you think.
The best revenge is success and good work. Yeah. You don't have to say anything to the haters. Yeah. You don't have to acknowledge them at all. You just wake up every morning and be the best you can be. And that tends to shut them up.
Thank you for that advice, Michelle Obama. I will take heed to such advice. I love God. You love God? Something must be wrong with you if you don't love God, man. It's your boy Retro, man. I'm gonna get on out y'all's way, man. Make sure you join in tomorrow for the addition of throwing of rocks and hiding of hands. But guess what? God ain't sleeping, and everything shall be revealed. Y'all have a good day on purpose. Keep on loving, even when they hate and understand that they're really confused admirers. They admire what you do, but they don't have the kahuntas to stand up and say, that's my man right there. You know what? They don't have, they lack the boblas to just say, you know what? If you can't beat them, you might as well join.
What's wrong with you? I said I love God. You don't love God. What's wrong with you? Hey, wait. You don't love God. What's wrong with you? I said I love God.
Make sure y'all check out the Retro Philosophy Show on YouTube with my man Retro. Like, subscribe, comment, share, copy the link, put it on Instagram in your bio, put it on your Facebook page. Send it to your mama, text it to somebody. But y'all make sure y'all follow this page, Retro Philosophy.
I'm not gonna say he a pathological liar or nothing like that, because it ain't right to call a man a liar, you know. But he telling me that the black wool. What's your bike name? Foxy.
Foxy, that's her name.
Okay, so he telling me Foxy stock. Nah. He telling me she's stock. I mean, I've been rode behind him. I don't know how many miles. And
listen, I got something that keep me alive.
Uh-huh.
You know, loud pipe save lives.
Yeah.
And then I just got a mean right hand, man.
But
that's it. All gas, no brake.
All gas, no brake.
All gas, no brake. We downshift. We don't hit the brake pedal.
Yeah.
I don't even think it worked. I ain't never used it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We have a community that we have to take care of. We have kids that are depending on us. I call them my scholars, I call them my future leaders, because that's what they are. And I let them know, don't forget about where you were raised. Be proud of where you come from and give back. It seems more family in Riverview Gardens. It would just be wonderful to get some people to get some of those jobs and help us get these scholars where they need to be. There's a new view on the horizon where learning is required.